Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Brad Keller. I'm a documentation product consultant here at Component One, and I'll be guiding everybody through the presentation and the training today. The purpose of the webcast today is to give the attendees an overview of what Doc2Help is, how it works, and why it might be a good solution to the training and help issues challenging your organization or department. Okay, so first of all, what is Doc2Help? Doc2Help is an authoring and publishing tool that allows you to write new or use existing content and publish to a number of web-based, application-based, or print-based deliverables. That's what it says on the website. A lot of times what I'll say is that Doc2Help takes all of the stuff that you have, the documents that are out there, any user guides, any training materials, any policy and procedure manuals that you've already written, and it helps you to organize it and publish it to the outputs, the stuff that you need. So basically, if you need to take your content and repurpose it, you need to create one consolidated manual, one compiled or consolidated help file, or if you need to get your content out on the web, Doc2Help gives you the ability to take your content, the content that you already have, bring it into Doc2Help, manage it within Doc2Help. There's several tools and things Doc2Help automates for you in order to quickly and easily publish to the deliverables, the stuff that you need. Okay, so at the center of Doc2Help lies your content. You can use Doc2Help's XML-Based Editor to write new content. This editor gives you all the design tools you need for an intuitive editing experience while automatically creating XML-based source code under the hood. You can also create content using your favorite editor. Doc2Help integrates seamlessly with Microsoft Word and all HTML editors, so you can use the editor that you're most comfortable with. If you already have content, you can import it into Doc2Help. Examples from our customer base include RoboHelp users converting their old projects, people with Word documents wanting to transform them into help or web content, and people with help files in outdated formats that need to convert to a more up-to-date format. Additionally, Doc2Help can convert Word or HTML to its XML-based format. Now, Doc2Help is topics-based. That means that it takes the content in your source files and it sorts it into individual topics for you. Doc2Help then organizes the topics into a table of contents to make it easier for the user to find the information that they're looking for. And ultimately, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're starting with your content. Anything that you author in Doc2Help's built-in editor or any content that you come to the project with, again, that's the stuff that you have. Your content is there at the center, and that's really what we try and allow you to focus on. We try and allow you to focus on writing your content and making it as crisp and good and understandable as possible, and then try to make it as easy as possible for you to make it as easy as possible for your users to find the information that they're looking for. And so that all starts with your content at the center, which you come to the project with, and then Doc2Help gives you the tools to manage that content, to manage the topics and organize everything, customize everything, or if you need to customize anything, and then ultimately output that into the deliverable that you need for your audience, even if that's more than one deliverable. So the idea behind it is that it's a single source authoring and publishing tool. So it allows you to take that one set of source content, one set of source files, and output it into many different deliverables. Once the topics are created, Doc2Help gives you the tools to manage the project elements. These elements include topics, topic relations, reusable content, and documents, all the items that Doc2Help assembles into the outputs that you need. Doc2Help automatically creates a table of contents, index, glossary, formatting, style sheets, and templates, and gives you editors that make it fast and easy to manage it all. You also get tools such as editing toolbars and a theme designer to ensure that your project is exactly the way that you want it. With the project where you want it to be, publishing is as easy as a few clicks. You select your output, click Build, and your content is published at any one of a number of quality formats. And then again, that's your single set of source documents, your single source there in the middle, and then that publish on the outside. As soon as you've managed everything in Doc2Help, customized whatever you need to customize, you can format to as many of those outputs as you need on the right hand side there. So you can create help, searchable web content, and press-ready manuals. So anyone that needs to create and publish information, such as PDFs, web content, and online help from one set of source files would find DocToHelp to be a great tool. Generally speaking, though, the user base consists of the following: help authors and technical writers that need to deliver quality user manuals and documentation for software or technical procedures, human resource professionals and operations managers tasked with getting their policies and procedures published to the company intranet, and training and support professionals that need easily accessible documentation that is task-oriented and can be understood by a wide audience. DocToHelp is represented in various departments throughout the world, from one-person software shops to content developers working for multinational conglomerates. There's a DocToHelp solution for everyone and every company. And the results are outstanding. You can author your content in virtually any environment that you want. This eliminates the learning curve. DocToHelp users drastically save time. You can edit content once and use it for multiple outputs. Changes don't need to be duplicated in multiple places. And you can use DocToHelp to create every popular help format, professional printed manuals, including PDFs, and you can also create NetHelp. And NetHelp is our proprietary output. It's web-based, and it's the industry's best web-based output in terms of design, accessibility of content, and customizability. And those three points up those three first points really point to the single sourcing aspect of the software. So you can write and use your content in whatever editor you're most comfortable with. If you're more comfortable working in Word, you can work in Word. If you're more comfortable in the built-in editor, you can work in the built-in editor. If you're more comfortable with HTML, we integrate with Microsoft FrontPage and Adobe Dreamweaver. And then you can save time by editing content for many purposes, creating all those professional quality outputs. And so you don't need to have one tool for print, one tool for web, and one tool for desktop applications, desktop help. You can just use one tool in DocToHelp to manage it all. And then finally, you can make it yours with unmatched customizability. Everything from the table of contents and the index to the look and feel of the output to the features you can deploy with the help is 100% customizable. You can take what comes out of the box, or you can customize it to your liking. And we have customers really on both sides of that equation. We have a lot of customers that take in their source documents, they write their content, they put it into they put it into DocToHelp, they work in their content using DocToHelp's toolbar, and then they publish it. They look at it and they say, hey, this is great. This is exactly what they want. This is what we need to deliver to our customers, and then that's it. They're done. They send it off to their boss. But then other customers, we have an entirely different group of customers that does a lot of customization work as well. And the good thing about DocToHelp is that it lets you do either or. It doesn't lock you into one or the other. And any customizations that you want to do, we'll have some simple examples once we share DocToHelp here. But any customization that you want to do is really easy and straightforward. So publishing content with DocToHelp really is easy. You start with your newly authored or existing content. Again, that's your single source on the left side. You select an output. You click Build and publish to any deliverable that you need. You can even switch between outputs without reformatting or even touching the content. That's the power of DocToHelp there, is that, again, you just have your single set of source documents, and DocToHelp doesn't fundamentally change anything about those source documents, your source content. You manage everything there in DocToHelp in the middle, and then you publish to whatever format, customize whatever formats, whatever you need to do with the formats that you publish for specific audiences or specific departments. And all of that is done in DocToHelp without again, fundamentally changing the way the source documents are laid out, what they look like. Everything's managed through DocToHelp, and it allows you to use that single source to publish to many different outputs. Okay, so we have DocToHelp here, and this is DocToHelp's interface. This is a ribbon interface, and this is based off of the Office 2007-2010 interface. And basically, I'm just going to do a quick overview of what the interface looks like before we build the project and we get down into the nitty-gritty, the sharing the documents, grabbing the documents from SharePoint, and building the outputs. But the basic idea behind the webcast today is that our boss has told us that they want to have they have some old user guides on the web on SharePoint. They have those in a SharePoint document library. And what they want us to do is they want us to take those documents, put them into Doc to Help, and create 3 deliverables for them. They want a PDF to consolidate all of the user guides into one sort of master user guide, one master document. They want compiled help so that they can integrate the help into their software application. And then they want web content so that they can publish the help to the knowledge base on the public website in case users want to access that information there. So again, that's tailoring or creating different formats for different types of users, users that want to experience the content in different formats or in different ways. And this isn't an unrealistic request for the boss to make. Actually, the person that does Doc to Help's documentation, she creates all of her source documents, she writes all of her content, and then she's required to create a PDF, one master document of all the information, which is the Doc to Help user guide. So if I click on this little link here, the Doc to Help user guide pops up. She also needs to create compiled help to integrate into the application. So if I click on the Help button, compiled help will come up. And then she also needs to create web content so that we can host the help on the public website on our knowledge base. So this is the same content here again, just in a different format. And as you can see up here, this is an HTTP URL. So this is content that's hosted. This is NetHelp, the web-based output that I discussed previously. And this is hosted on our public website on our knowledge base, so that users can access the documentation here. They can access it in the help, just in the application. Or they can go back to the user guide if they're more comfortable either printing this up or just sort of paging through the PDF. One of the things to add when we're talking about single sourcing is that Doc to Help puts all of this in for the person that does the documentation. So she has her set of source documents, but she doesn't have this cover page in her source documents. She doesn't have all this copyright information, this information about technical support. The graphic was produced with Doc to Help. She doesn't have any of that information. She doesn't have the table of contents in there. Doc to Help adds all of this for her when she builds the PDF, because that's part of the single sourcing idea. If she wanted, or if she needed to put all of this information into the document and then build it as help, then this table of contents, the cover page, there's usually not a table of contents or a cover page or any of those different things, sort of in the text area in a help file or in web content. So that would be disorienting for the user if they saw this, because this is something that belongs in a manual. It's not something that belongs in help or on a website. So Doc to Help knows that, and when it goes to build the PDF, it adds all this information in for her. So as soon as she has all of her content together, she does exactly what's listed in the or what's shown there in that animated GIF in the PowerPoint. She selects her target, she clicks Build, and then her content is published. She delivers it to her boss, and then she's done. So that's exactly what we're going to do today, is we're going to take these user guides, these old documents that are up on SharePoint, we're going to add them to a Doc to Help project, and then we're going to create the outputs that the boss needs, and then hopefully everything that we produce for the boss will be fine, but as you know, the boss always has last-minute changes. So we'll be able to deal with that, again, using the customization tools that I discussed in the PowerPoint, the customization tools that Doc to Help offers. So in order to get started here, all I need to do is create a new project. I'm going to give the project a very creative name. I'm going to call it Documentation. since that's what we're creating for the boss. I don't have an existing project that I can import settings from, so I'm just going to go next. My default language is English, but Doc2Help supports all of the languages that Windows supports. And actually, when we take a look at the SharePoint integration, we're going to see that Doc2Help also has some very powerful translation management features that tie into the translation management tools that are in SharePoint, SharePoint Foundation 2010. So I could select from different languages here, but I'm an American, so I only know English. So I'm going to go next. Click next here. And then this is just selecting the default target. As we're going to see as soon as the target opens, or as soon as the project opens and it is created, it's very easy to change the target. This just gives us a default to start with. My source content type, I'm going to import existing files because we have those 3 old user guides that are on SharePoint. I'm going to confirm my settings and click Finish. As soon as I do that, the document project or the document import wizard is going to open for me. So my documents are on SharePoint. And this URL is already preloaded for me, but what I could do is I could just browse to a URL. I could go up or down in the organization of the SharePoint site in order to find the document library that I'm looking for. But since I've done this demo a few times, it's automatically hooked up to software documentation, which is where the boss said the documents are. So as soon as I click Next, Doc2Help looks at the documents that are in that document library. And these are the 3 documents that my boss wants me to put into Doc2Help and use. So I can check all of them or uncheck all of them, but I'm going to import all of these documents. So I just click to check all, confirm my settings. And then the documents are importing from SharePoint into creating a local copy here on my machine. And then these are all the auxiliary files that are linked to in the documents, and they're in the media folder in SharePoint. So if I make any changes, if I add anything to this folder, everything will automatically synchronize as well. Just going to synchronize all of my auxiliary files. And my Doc2Help project is set up. And then if any time I want to synchronize my documents with the SharePoint library, I can just click the Synchronize button, and everything will sync up so that the documents that I have on my machine are the same as the documents on the SharePoint library and vice versa. And then just to point out, the SharePoint integration works both ways, so it's really easy and straightforward. Either you bring in your documents that are already on your SharePoint in your SharePoint library, your SharePoint document library, or if you have documents that are in a Doc2Help project or they're somewhere on your machine, all you would need to do is you would need to share those to the SharePoint document library. So as long as I have a document library set up, I can grab documents from that library or I can pull documents up. If I add documents to this project that are on my machine and I want to put them in the same folder or the same document library on SharePoint, I can do that very easily as well. And then I had mentioned the translate feature as well, which you can do in Doc2Help 2011. You can press the translate button, and then Doc2Help will help you using the SharePoint Foundation 2010 translation library management features. Doc2Help will help you create a separate project and assign create a separate project for each language. So say you were working in English, French, and German, you just click the translate button, point to the translation management library, and then Doc2Help would create Doc2Help would create an English project for you, a French project for you, and a German project for you, so setting the default language for you. And then it would also create and assign documents to be translated into French and into German when it creates copies of those documents in the SharePoint Translation Management Library. And then again, this goes back to the idea of just letting you focus on the content and handling sort of all the technical and having DocToHelp handle sort of all the technical details behind the scene. So all you need to do is click the Translate button and have DocToHelp create the projects for you. And then you can focus on the content. So you can focus on translating the content and making sure that everything looks right as far as the output is concerned. And DocToHelp manages everything else. So the translation process, especially working with different publishing tools, can be tedious, and managing it can be something that one or several people handle. But in a lot of ways, if you just click the Translate button, DocToHelp will handle and manage it for you. So we now have our DocToHelp project open, and we're here in the Home tab, and so that's where the SharePoint Documents section of the ribbon is. And the Home tab is where you spend a lot of your time, because this is where you can control your targets. You can build and view your targets, and you can also select your target. As I said before, the default target that we set up was NetHelp. But then these are all of the different targets that you can create. And so one of the things that I always like to mention is that DocToHelp calls an output a target. When we decided on the name of it, we decided that output was a little bit too narrow for all of the things that a DocToHelp target can do for you, and all the things that being a DocToHelp target means. So we chose target instead of output. But a lot of times I'll use the words target, output, and deliverable kind of synonymously. I mean, this is the target is what the customer, the end user, the trainee, the person that's trying to look up a policy in an employee manual. That's the content. That's what they actually see. That's the end result. And so you can select your target. You can just change it from NetHelp to HTML help, or if you want to build a manual for PDF, you can switch back and forth very easily. And then you can also build, rebuild, and view your targets. And if you see this little arrow down right here, you can choose to build or rebuild, but you can also schedule a rebuild. So this is the DocToHelp build scheduler that's new in 2011. You can schedule builds to be. You can schedule what different targets. You can check what different targets you want to build. For our purposes, we want to build the web-based content, which is NetHelp, HTML help, which is the desktop help for integrating into the application, and then the manual, which is the PDF. You can schedule it for a one-time build, daily or weekly. You can schedule a start time for the build as well. And then as soon as you specify everything that you want to have built, it all displays here so that you can track it and manage it. And that's handy if you have a lot of different projects that you're working with, or if you have a really large project that you would prefer that it be built at night when you're not at work, so that you can take a look at what all your changes look like and how everything looks in the morning after it builds overnight. And then here you can also control the target design and set the properties for your source documents in the Home tab. And then this little guy right here, this little arrow that's pointing down and to the right, this is what's known as a Dialog Box Launcher. So when I click on this, it's going to show the Help Targets dialog box, because that's where I am right now. I'm in the Help Targets ribbon. And so here's where I can add or remove targets. And this is a really just sort of a good general thing to keep in mind. You're looking at the ribbon interface in general. A lot of times, if you're looking for a specific property, or there's something that you want to do, there's something that you want to change, something that you want to customize, something that you want to set, there's a property that you want to adjust, your best idea is to start looking at those dialog box launchers popping them out, just taking a look at them and seeing what's available in there. So that's a good general trick to use for if you're working in Word 2007 or any of the Office 2007 suite, the Office 2010 suite, anything with a ribbon interface. Usually there's and you can see here if I click on different help targets, I'm given different properties and settings that I can adjust in each of the help targets. So again, if there's ever something, and this is in Doc2Help, this is any ribbon interface, if there's something that you want to adjust or tweak, if there's a specific property that you want to set or what have you, your best bet is to start launching those dialog box launchers, clicking on those dialog box launchers, looking at those dialog boxes, and seeing what you can work with. So if I go over to the Project tab, just kind of, again, generally looking at the Doc2Help interface, these are a lot of the higher level attributes, windows and the styles, the variables that you can work with in Doc2Help. And so a lot of times this is where you set something up to always be true or always be false. And so anything that you want to change on a global level in your project, this would be the first place that you would want to look. And if you can see here, we've got another dialog box launcher. When I click here, we've got more project settings that we can work with, and these are all the really high-level settings. So in general, you don't really do adjust these too much or change these too much. But one of the things that a lot of our customers do, doing some of the things behind the scenes and allowing you to focus on the content, Doc2Help does some of the heavy lifting for you by creating context IDs for you automatically. So one of the things that we need to do in this project that our boss gave us is that we need to create compiled help. And that compiled help needs to be integrated into a software application. The most common way to integrate compiled help into a software application is through context-sensitive help. And the way that you create context-sensitive help, or the way that you link the help into the application, is with context IDs. So if you check this little checkbox, then every time Doc2Help creates a topic for you, it's going to create a context ID for that topic and associate that context ID with that topic. Okay, but if we go into the topics window, we're going to see that there's not really anything in here. Now, what I had said in the PowerPoint is that Doc2Help takes your documents. Your documents can be managed over here in the Documents pane, so you can drag and drop these or move these wherever you want these to be. But it takes your documents, breaks those documents down into individual topics, and then organizes those topics into a table of contents for you. We haven't built the project yet. We haven't built NetHelp or created any of our targets for our boss. So Doc2Help hasn't gone through the documents, hasn't broken everything down into topics, and hasn't organized those topics into a table of contents for us yet. As soon as we do build the project as NetHelp, then all of the documents will be broken down into topics. Those topics will be organized into a table of contents. So again, those are things that Doc2Help does for you as soon as you build. It's one of those things that Doc2Help does behind the scenes. And one of the other things that it can do for you, if we go back into the Project tab, again, where you would set things up to be universally true or universally false throughout the project, we can also go to Auto Index. So if I click on Auto Index, these options drop down here. And so for Doc2Help to automatically create an index for me under Auto Index, that's a good place for it, right? In order to have Doc2Help create an index for me automatically, all I would need to do is check conceptual, contents, and procedural. Now, when Doc2Help goes through the documents and it creates the individual topics in my documents, it's going to assign a topic type. You see here it says topic types. So it's going to assign a type to each topic. The three main types of topics that Doc2Help creates are conceptual, contents, and procedural. And so when Doc2Help creates all of these topics, it's going to go through here and it's going to create one of the topics that it's going to create is called creating software documentation. So it's going to create a topic called creating software documentation. It's going to assign a context ID to that topic because we checked that little checkbox in project settings. And then it's going to assign a topic type to that topic as soon as it's created. And it's going to assign a contents topic type to creating software documentation. Okay, and so then once it assigns that topic type, then it says, oh, okay, well, I'm supposed to create an index entry for that. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a keyword called creating software documentation. And it's going to assign the creating software documentation topic with the creating software documentation keyword. So having checked a few checkboxes, gone around in Doc2Help a little bit, now we're ready to build the target. And I'm going to build NetHelp first. And so now what Doc2Help's doing is it's going through all of the documents. It's going through the documents one at a time. And it's breaking the documents down into individual topics for me, and then organizing those topics into a table of contents based on the heading styles, the heading levels that are assigned in the documents, and then it compiles all of the documents in order. So it's going to put the topics that are in software documentation first in the table of contents, then the topics that are in out of the box, and then the topics that are in sample help topics. So it's going to put them all in order. And then, as I said before, it's going to assign context IDs to each of the topics it creates, and then it's going to create an index. Okay, so I'm going to view this target. Okay, so the creating software documentation topic is in here as well. All of my screenshots, all of my text automatically gets added in here. Doc2Help created this table of contents for me in this skin for this web content, and it automatically created this breadcrumb functionality for me so that I can go back to the topic that I was in before. And then it also created these subtopic links for me automatically. So help deliverables, adding dynamic help to your interface, incorporating software documentation into the interface. All of those things are subtopics of Welcome to version 1.7. And so all of those are automatically associated with links in the Welcome to version 1.7 topic. And then if I go to context-sensitive help, I could see that all of its subtopics are automatically generated as links for me. And the breadcrumb functionality is there, so I can always go forward and I can always trace my way back. Doc2Help created the index for me automatically. And here's my creating software documentation keyword. So the creating software documentation topic, all of this topic text, is associated with the creating software documentation keyword. So Doc2Help created this index for me because I checked those three little checkboxes, the contents, conceptual, and procedural. And then Doc2Help, while it was compiling everything, also cataloged everything for search. So I can search for individual words. And the words that I'm searching for will automatically be listed there. Or I can also search for phrases by using quotes. And Doc to Help also automatically has fuzzy search in the search engine. So if I misspell something like software, it'll have a suggestion for me as, did you mean software? And then as soon as I click on that, it automatically searches for all those topics. For those of you familiar with Boolean searches using and or not, you can also do those types of searches in your NetHelp outputs, or your users will be able to do those types of searches in the NetHelp outputs as well. So then if I go back into Doc to Help, I'm going to see here that my table of contents is created, and the table of contents that I have in this contents pane is the same as my table of contents in my NetHelp output. And my index is created as well. So if I click on adding dynamic help to your interface, I can see down here that adding dynamic help to your interface, the adding dynamic help to your interface topic has automatically been associated with the adding dynamic help to your interface keyword. And then if I look over here in topics, I'm going to see that all my topics have been created and named according to the heading style that was applied to the Word document. Everything's been assigned a topic type. Keywords have been assigned. And then if I right-click anywhere in here, I want to look at my context IDs. I can see that my context ID number is right here as well. And then this is an editable grid. So this is, I can move any of these around. I can double click on any of these to sort by alphabetical order, sort by reverse alphabetical order. I can sort the context IDs in order, in reverse order. And this is an editable grid, so I can drag and drop any of these topics to associate these topics with keywords, or drag and drop them to alter the table of contents. And then if I send this list of topics and context IDs to the developer, and the developer says, oh, defining attributes can't have a context ID of 29, it needs to be 229. And then dialog box help topics needs to be 227 instead of 27. I can make those changes, and Doc to Help will keep an on of those changes anytime that I build the project. Okay, so let's say that as I was going through, I just went back to the home tab. I saw all these topics and I saw everything, and then I also just built HTML help, and I also built my manual and sent it off to the boss. So at this point, Doc to Help is compiling everything, and it's putting everything into the compiled help file, and it's making it all sort of one master file as opposed to the three separate documents. And then Doc to Help will ask me if I want to view the help target that's just been built. So I'll take a look at the HTML help as well. So again, all of this is the same content in the topic window. I once again have the breadcrumb functionality. Doc to Help created my index for me, and Doc to Help cataloged everything for search. So again, this is a lot of the stuff that Doc to Help did for me behind the scenes, creating the search engine, setting up the index, organizing the table of contents, and then putting this HTML help wrapper around it. So all I needed to do was add my documents to the project, click Build, and then I was able to send this. Let's say that I also selected my target as a manual. If I wanted to, for argument's sake, select my target as a manual, and then build that, I would just need to build that and send it to my boss. So let's say we built everything, and the boss takes a look at everything, and the boss thinks everything is great, except that there are a few minor changes. So the boss likes, for the most part, the index that Doc2Help created for me, but the boss says that there's a keyword missing from the index. So a lot of times what I'll advise people to do is to have Doc2Help build the index for them automatically to give them a base to work with. So you can disassociate. So you can remove this association from the index. You can create new associations. But this gives you a base to work from. And so anything that Doc2Help creates that you don't like, you can change. Anything that it puts in here that you don't want, like if you don't want assigning or editing context IDs manually to be a keyword, anything that it puts in that you don't like, you can remove it. And anything that it misses, you can add. So if I click Add New Keyword, and then I can just drag and drop topics to associate with that keyword. So the boss told us about that missing keyword, and then the boss also doesn't like context-sensitive help. The boss wants that topic or that keyword to be called F1 help. It's okay that the context-sensitive help topic is associated with the context-sensitive help keyword, but the boss wants it to be called F1 help. So all I would need to do is rename the topic, and now it's F1 help. So the boss had me do a little bit of customization to the index, and now the boss also wants me to make some changes to my table of contents. The thing is that the boss doesn't want me to change the table of contents sort of universally, where the table of contents is the same in all of my targets. The boss wants me to have a certain table of contents for the manual, a certain table of contents for the help, and a certain table of contents for the web content. So actually what the boss had said is that we have our manual selected as our target right now. The boss said that the manual is fine. Doesn't want any changes to the manual. The table of contents is fine how it is, but the boss does have other changes to the other targets. So in order to make sure that my manual, the table of contents always looks like this, I just need to hit this little bullseye with a question mark to create a target-specific table of contents. So now every time I build a manual, the table of contents is going to look like this. As far as the HTML help is concerned, the boss wants this welcome section to be up at the top. And then the boss also wants creating software documentation to be the first topic under Welcome to version 1.7. The boss didn't like that creating software documentation to be floating out there in the table of contents. So this is the adjustment that we need to make. As soon as I move that creating software documentation topic to beneath Welcome to version 1.7, you can see here that my contents got changed so the Customize now appears. So now I've customized my table of contents, and I want to set up a target-specific table of contents for HTML help. And then as far as the net help, the web-based help is the web-based output is concerned. The boss likes the idea of having creating software documentation as that first subtopic in the Welcome to version 1.7 book. But then since this is web content, the boss also wants an FAQ section at the beginning. So all I would need to do is create a book and then rename the book FAQs. If I could type. Rename the book FAQs, and then just start dragging and dropping topics in there to associate them with the FAQ book. And then I can also organize all of these topics so that there are subtopics or sub-subtopics of the FAQ section. And any of these books, I can also move them up or down. Okay, so my table of contents is customized again. I've added my FAQ section. So I just need to hit target specific table of contents again, and now every time I build my NetHelp, that's what the table of contents is going to look like. Okay, now what you might have noticed by this point is that we really haven't looked at any of the documents. We just brought the documents in, we built them as all of our different targets, and then we did some customization work in Doc2Help itself. Okay, so now as you can see here, all of these documents have a little hand underneath them, which means that they're connected to SharePoint. If I double-click any of these documents and open them up, it's going to synchronize with SharePoint, check in any new changes, and then creating software documentation. This loads up now. So this is a pretty standard, ordinary-looking Word document. We do have some formatting here that was applied by the Doc2Help toolbar. But none of this formatting was done, by going in there and sort of hard coding or applying any styles or doing anything like that in Word. All the person that created this document did was they highlighted the word, and they went to the Doc2Help toolbar that adds on to Word. Okay, and so with the Doc2Help toolbar, now I can work with my topics. I can add, rename, or delete topics. I can apply some standard heading or body text styles in Word. And then here in the middle of the ribbon group, in this D2HML styles group, this is where I can apply all the special help features. So if I wanted to create a link to one of the topics, I would just hit the link button and then select whatever topic I wanted to link to. So I'll link to breaks Word documents into topics for online targets. So as soon as I do that, if I go back into Doc2Help, there's just that little green checkbox, and then the tooltip says that it's checked out by me. So if this document was checked out by somebody else that was on the SharePoint site and was using the document, then there would be a little red checkbox, regardless of whether or not that person had a Doc2Help project open. So if anything's checked out in SharePoint, Doc2Help can read that by syncing back to the server and checking to see if that document's checked in or checked out. And so right now it's checked out by me. So that little green checkbox showed up as soon as I started working in the Word document. And then whatever changes, whatever I work with here in Word, if I insert an object or a field code or a symbol, if I insert, even if I insert an image, we'll insert the desert image here. And then even if I create a hyperlink on that image, say I'll create a hyperlink to everybody's favorite website, doc2help.com. Doc2Help is going to be able to read everything that I add in Word, any of the standard Word features, and it's going to be able to read anything that I link to, or any of the special Doc to Help features or styles that I add in. So I can apply conditions, I can create inline or drop-down text, I can create expanding and collapsing sections, I can insert a flash movie, and work in the glossary. I could use the image map editor to work with this image. There are a lot of different things that you could do with this Doc to Help toolbar that adds on to Word. But again, all of your content is still in Word. And so this isn't us forcing you to use the built-in editor. This is just empowering you, allowing you to use Word and to enhance the content that you already have, to help you use the content that you already have. And then also, as I had mentioned before, not fundamentally change that content in order to allow you to create as many different versions of it, as many different outputs as you need. So if you look here, this is the first document in the project. This is the software documentation document. Creating software documentation is the first text that's in here. There's no FAQ section at the beginning of this document. Doc to Help didn't create an FAQ section and throw it into this document that might throw somebody off that's looking at this document. So Doc to Help didn't fundamentally change how the document is put together. All Doc to Help changed was how the content is presented for a specific audience. And so that's the whole idea behind single sourcing, is that these are your source documents. We want you to be able to focus on content. We don't want to change or mess around with that content that's in your documents. We just want to change how that content is presented to whatever audience in whatever country and whatever you need, so that you can focus on the content and allow Doc to Help to focus on all of the other technical aspects behind that, behind creating all of the outputs and all the formats that you need for all of your different audiences. So if I save and close the document, it asks me if I want to check in the changes to the server. I do. And so now everything is synchronized with the SharePoint server, SharePoint document library, and my document is checked back in. So that if I wanted to see all the changes that I made and take a look at my NetHelp target, I could do that very easily. So all I needed to do was I had NetHelp selected, and I just clicked Rebuild to have Doc to Help create this for me. And then since we changed our source content, we added that image and we added that link to that topic. We're going to see those changes take place in the target as well. So the one of the big rules is whatever's in your source is going to be in your target, unless you specifically tell Doc to Help that you don't want that content to be in there. So unless you do something to customize what the content looks like, whatever's in your documents is going to be in your output. It's going to be in your target. So we've got our FAQ section that got created with our custom table of contents. We've got creating software documentation. Here's our desert image that got added in there. And that links to the Doc to Help website, so all the links in the image work. And then we've got our topic link that's going to break Word documents into topics for online help targets. Jumps right to that topic for me. So again, we took a look at the document. We checked the document back up into SharePoint. And the document hasn't fundamentally been changed, but we've created this customized, searchable, indexed web output that has a table of contents, breadcrumbs, and subtopic links, so that it's very easy to navigate, very easy to search, and even has its own FAQ section where no FAQ section exists in the Word documents. So again, we haven't changed what the documents look like, how the documents are put together, really too much of any of the content in the documents. We've just changed how Doc to Help presents that content to the end user. Okay, and then if I go here to the manual target, One of the things the boss said that they wanted was a PDF. So if I look in the Help Targets dialog box, it's another sort of quick pointer. I launch the Help Targets dialog box in order to create a PDF. I would just check this Generate PDF Target checkbox. Click OK. And then I can take a look at the manual as well. So just click my little View PDF button. And so again, this cover page gets inserted for me. Table of contents with links everywhere gets created for me. And here's my image. As I mouse over it, I can see that if I click on there, I can go to dochelp.com. So again, there's no cover page, there's no table of contents in our creating software documentation document that's in this project. Doc2Help realized that I wanted to create a manual, and that a manual should have a cover page and a table of content. So Doc2Help added those things in there for me, as well as adding in an index, and if I had a glossary document, it would add that glossary in there for me as well. So to assign page numbers to everything, put in page breaks where page breaks need to be, created my table of contents, put in the cover page, and these all were things that I didn't need to do. I just needed to select that I wanted to build my manual target and clicked Build. And so I built these 3 different outputs with 3 different tables of contents for 3 different audiences in 3 different formats without doing really much to my source documents, and again, without fundamentally changing them, just changing how the format and the presentation appears to the end user. And ultimately, I mean, that's what we're all looking for, is we're looking for everything to appear as seamless and straightforward and easy for the user to interpret as possible. And then where Doc2Help comes in is that we try to make it as seamless and easy and straightforward for you to generate that content and get it out to your customers and your end users, your constituents, as easily as possible. So that's the general overview of Doc2Help. Obviously, we also offer training on more advanced subjects. That's usually of the 4-hour sessions with introductory, and intermediate, and advanced training. We also offer the training manuals as well. So if you do have any questions on that, you can certainly go. Feel free to visit everybody's favorite website, as I link to it, dochelp.com, and see more.